guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another How About Them Celtics video. We are here, I am here, recording September 22nd, Friday, 3:26 p.m. to be exact. And about 10 minutes ago, Shams Charania of The Athletic reported Lamar Stevens has agreed to a one-year deal with the Boston Celtics. I'll pull it up on the screen for you. Sam is at a wedding, so I am running solo on this. Sam has a life and I don't, is basically what we're learning today. Celtics have signed Lamar Stevens to what I presume to be a one-year deal. We don't know the exact details, though. As Shams put it, Stevens established himself as this defensive presence for the Cavs, starting 25 of 62 games last year. He was traded earlier this summer in the deal that helped facilitate Max Strus signing with the Cavaliers. He was traded to the Spurs, who then waived him, and now he was a free agent. There were some rumblings earlier this summer of, the Celtics bringing in Lamar Stevens for a workout. We did a video on it, actually. It's right here, as you're getting some Liberty Mutual ads. But they brought him in for a workout earlier this summer based on this report from Michael Scotto, I believe it was. Worked out TJ Warren as well. These people, and we speculated that, okay, they signed Svi Mykhailiuk. Maybe they won't bring it a win. Maybe they won't sign Lamar Stevens. However, we were wrong. We were wrong. Brad Stevens still wanted another wing on the roster. This fills the Celtics' 15th roster spot. Lamar Stevens, 6'6", 26 years old. Again, like Sham said, he started 25 of 62 games for the Cavs last year, averaged 5 points, 3 rebounds, 18 minutes a night, which was a career high for him. Spent 3 years in Cleveland. He was two-way eligible, but I believe this is going to be a standard deal. And I can't imagine Lamar Stevens would have settled for a training camp contract. Unless there was nothing else out there. That said, Lamar Stevens is a Boston Celtic. 4 points in his first season in the league, 6 points and 5 points. He's earned slowly more and more minutes with the Cavaliers. Obviously, he didn't play much in the playoffs last year, but that was the Cavs' first playoff appearance. We're going to watch some Lamar Stevens highlights because that's what we do when the Celtics sign somebody. So we can take a look at some of the best highlights from his time with the Cavaliers. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Sorry, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to recording without Sam. It's like I feel naked because it's just me out here. I'm not prepared to record by myself. I'm not used to it. But we are going to take a look at we'll watch one of his a 23-point performance, for Lamar Stevens. This was during the 21-22 season. So we'll take a look at his scoring season prior to this past year, but we can take a look, see what he's got, check out the jump shot a little bit. I'll see if I can find some defensive highlights while we're watching this as well. But Lamar Stevens will give the Celtics a different look than some of the wings on the bench as a defensive presence. Stuff we learned last time. He is a great rebounder for his position at 6'6". He averaged again like around a little over 3 boards a game. He loves the mid-range shot. He doesn't love three-pointers. He's not a great three-point shooter. He shot 31.6% from 3 last year. So again, not a great three-point shooter. Prefers the mid-range, as I saw in some clips when I was looking into it earlier this summer. He likes to pull up from mid-range a little bit more, as you can see in the highlight reel right there. Then he does like to pull up from 3. So that's something to watch, something of interest, I suppose, for the Celtics signing. It's just, I don't know why they would bring in another wing. I mean, they have Svi Mykhailiuk, Sam Hauser, Lamar Stevens now, as well as O'Shea Brissett and Delano Banton and Jordan Walsh. Like, that's a lot of guys competing for pretty much the same minutes behind Tatum and Brown. You have to imagine Derek White, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Robert Williams, Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, Malcolm Brogdon. That's going to be the core 7. Pritchard and Hauser right behind them, I guess. But then if you want to lump Hauser in, you've got a glutton of wings with, like, the guys I just mentioned, Brissett, Jordan Walsh, Delano Banton, Svi Mykhailiuk, and now Lamar Stevens, all at the end of the bench. I wonder if Lamar Stevens' deal and maybe even Svi Mykhailiuk's are similar to the Noah Vonleh contract last season, where they're non-guaranteed and they can be traded and or waived with no penalty before a certain date, and the contract won't be fully guaranteed. I don't know if that's the case, but that's something to note as we get more details on the contract. Lamar Stevens, also pretty good cutter for his position, as we just saw there on this play against the Jazz. He's adept off the ball. He's guarding Donovan Mitchell here, his now teammate last season, I should say. He's a good defender. He kind of falls into the O'Shea Brissett, Jordan Walsh category of wings off the bench. I'm going to be writing about it for Celtics blog, how they're going to have to sort of replace Grant Williams' production by committee. And Lamar Stevens will be a part of that. He's a little bit taller than Grant. I think when we first discussed the idea of Lamar Stevens in Boston, I was always on board with it. I made a lot more sense before they brought in Svi Mykhailiuk. Makes a bit less sense to me now that they did have Svi Mykhailiuk. Yeah, it just feels like it's too much of one thing on the bench. They don't really have a backup big man outside of Luke Cornett. They don't really have much guard depth past Peyton Pritchard and Malcolm Brogdon, and we know, excuse me, the potential issues with
New FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube at YouTube TV.
Malcolm Brogdon as he's quote unquote pissed at the Celtics. So that's something to watch as well. It's just a bit like, why are we stacking up? Why the Celtics, excuse me, I should say, stacking up on wings when there could be potential other areas of need for them across the roster? We can take a look at some of his highlights from the 2022-23 season. I believe this is the video we watched last time, but a little bit of a refresher. We can watch the last couple minutes because I think we stopped early in the video. So we'll watch the last couple minutes of this, check out some of his plays. I wish I could find specific defensive possessions, but I've had a hard time finding those exactly because most of the highlights on YouTube are of offense. If Sam was here, I'd have him talk while I try to find some defense, but he's not, so you have me, and you're going to have to enjoy it anyways. Or you don't have to, but I would appreciate it if you did. Yeah, not a huge three-point shooter. Like I was saying, he gets to the mid-range a lot. That's what he prefers. I have to imagine Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics will try to get him out of that habit because as great as these mid-range shots are and as nice as he looks from the mid-range, that's what the Celtics want to see. They want to see the three-pointers. There's not going to be a lot of opportunities for him to get to the mid-range, especially with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and now Kristaps Porzingis getting the ball most of the time. He's mostly going to be expected to cut like he did right there or spot up from behind the three-point line. Those sort of driving opportunities, I will say, though, if we want to look at this in the context of replacing Grant Williams, that's the sort of stuff Grant Williams was trying to do more of last year. He wasn't great at it because he was just learning, but it does look like Lamar Stevens is more comfortable with the ball in his hands, more comfortable driving these closeouts. The only issue with that is the reason Grant Williams was able to get to those drives so often is because teams closed out on him so hard because he's a 40% three-point shooter. Teams aren't going to close out as much on Lamar Stevens, who shoots less than 32% from three. I mean, talk about what I'm saying right there. Goga Bitadze sinking in the paint. Lamar Stevens made him pay there, but you can see the mindset of Lamar Stevens is more often to drive the closeout, get to the mid-range shot, or get to the hoop than it is to pull up from three. I do think that's valuable in the sense that he'll be a fine cutter, but I do think the Celtics will want to develop him more to be a spot up three-point threat, as you saw there, because that's really how he can earn minutes. He's a great defender. He might be the best wing defender the Celtics have on the roster now. Jordan Walsh is up there, but he's so young and he's still pretty foul prone. I saw Stu Greeny, Dan Greenberg of Barstool Sports on Twitter, say it might be useful to have Lamar Stevens on the roster to help teach Jordan Walsh some NBA level defense. Not that Jordan Walsh isn't capable of that, but just defending without fouling, getting used to the nuances and stuff. Could be useful. Lamar Stevens is a big body. He is 6'6", but he's 230 pounds. So he is strong. He is sort of built like Grant Williams. He doesn't play the same, but in terms of their frame, they're built similarly. He's very strong, very good rebounder, can finish through contact. He's a better finisher than Grant, just not as good of a three-point shooter. But if they can develop him, if Lamar Stevens can develop into a 37, 38 even percent three-point shooter, he might be the best wing option the Celtics have off the bench. Probably outside of Sam Hauser. I mean, you can't teach 43% three-point shooting, really, or at least overnight you can't. So I'd still probably take that. But Lamar Stevens is probably the best defender they have off the bench, at the wing position. And so all it's going to take for him is develop three-point shot because he's clearly already fine around the rim, can drive those closeouts. So that'll be useful as well. So I like the signing. I don't know if it necessarily makes a ton of sense considering who else the Celtics have on the roster in terms of, positions. But it's fine. I mean, they fill out the roster now. This is their 15th roster spot. Like I said, we're going to have to watch and keep an eye out for, what the details of the contract are. Is it a guaranteed deal? Is Lamar Stevens, going to be subject to getting cut at the trade deadline like Noah Vonleh was when he was traded to the Spurs and cut by them? A lot of little details in there that we'll have to watch out for. But overall, good signing for the Celtics. Get another defensive-minded guy in there. It can't hurt. It can't hurt. Do I wish they would have signed a big? Maybe. But if you look at the bigs that were available, and like Bismack Biyombo, I know we like Kenneth Faried, but the bigs that were available and rumored or even like connected or linked to the Celtics earlier this summer, and some of the guards like Austin Rivers, Lamar Stevens probably is the best player available. He's also 26, so there's still room to grow. Not that the Celtics need projects, but having a guy who you can develop and still improve his game in areas is useful, especially when he's so good at a certain skill, in this case, defense and rebounding. So I don't mind it. Thank you all for tuning in to How About Them Celtics. Sorry it was just me and you had to listen to me ramble. When I'm the only person talking, I tend to just go on and on and on. So let me know how this was. I know Sam did a pregame show by himself once, and this was my first taste of it. It's weird. It's weird, but thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to How About Them Celtics. Check us out on Apple and Spotify for full-length podcasts. Leave us 5 stars there. Let us know what you think about Lamar Stevens, and let us know what you think about, Sam being missing. You guys can make fun of him in the comments. Actually, don't do that. He's at a wedding. He didn't do anything wrong. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Check me out on Twitter at JacksonMoneNBA. Just put an article up for Celtics Blog today. I know Sam did a couple as well. He's on Twitter at SamLaFranceNBA. Check us both out at Celtics Blog. Follow us on Twitter. How About Them Celtics? How About Them C's? And most importantly, subscribe to How About Them Celtics. We appreciate you. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you later. Peace out. Bye.
Taco. Come on.
Taco's having some fun here.